cooking class, we are going to be making eyeball cake pops. Now, one thing I want you to take from this though is not the eyeball part, it's how easy you can make a cake pop in whatever flavor you want for any event. Okay, so we're going to do it with Oreos instead of cake. Oreos and cream cheese. They taste delicious, and what I mean by any flavor is that Oreos come in a lot of flavors. So if you want a mint cake pop or whatever other flavors Oreos come in, you can buy them in that flavor instead of the regular. And then you mix it with cream cheese, and then you cover it in chocolate, whatever flavor chocolate you want. We're doing white chocolate today. Okay, so the recipe calls for 24 Oreos and 4 ounces of cream cheese. I'm probably going to do a little more cream cheese than the recipe calls for, but I'm also going to do less Oreos because my family does not need 24 cake pops. So I'm going to do 10 Oreos for this demonstration. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so a little bit about me and my family, because so we are actually a diabetic household. So we do not eat most of what I make on this show. So that just means that's why I lessen the recipes sometimes, is just because of that, right? So this is a good example of how you can cut a recipe in half or decrease the recipe if you don't want to make as much as the recipe calls for. Okay, so I'm going to pull the cord. So all I'm doing right now is chopping up my Oreos. So if you don't have, this is the Power Chef. I mean, it is amazing, but if you don't have one, you can chop up your Oreos however you want. You can put them on a cutting board and chop with a knife forever. You can put them in a bag and crush them up with your hands or with a potato masher or whatever you want. Crush up your Oreos. Okay, so I have crushed Oreos. Again, I only did 10. If you make the full recipe, you would be doing 24. Okay, and then I have some cream cheese. So we buy our cream cheese at Costco because it's something we use a lot with our diabetic diet. And now we need to soften the cream cheese. So I'm just going to take the little wrapper part off here, and I'm going to put it in. So I just use this pitcher because it makes my cream cheese or butter or chocolate, whatever, melt really easily and faster and smoother, and comes with this awesome lid. Okay, because now my cream cheese or butter or whatever won't splatter. But again, you can melt your cream cheese in any microwave safe bowl you've got. Okay, I have another set of those pitchers because I use them so much, so we need them a little bit later. So we're just softening the cream cheese. We're going to add in the cream cheese to the Oreos, and then we're going to make little balls, and we are going to freeze them. So I actually pre-made one, and it's in the freezer right now, so I can show you the full recipe. But because we're going to freeze them, I'm not going to be able to show you the full recipe for all of the Oreo cake balls. Okay, so I'll show you one, and you can go ahead with whatever timing works for you. So to prepare to freeze them, I would get a cookie sheet, and then I have a silicone mat on top of mine, but if you don't have one, just put parchment paper or wax paper would probably even work. Okay, so our cream cheese is softened. Okay, so I told you I'm probably going to use, so this was almost 4 ounces of cream cheese, but I didn't do as much Oreo as I was supposed to. So I just kind of put in probably about 2.5 or 3 ounces of cream cheese. We're going to mix it up, and if we think we need more, we will add some. I love this Power Chef too because it mixes the cream cheese in so easily. So if you don't have a Power Chef, just do it in a bowl with a spoon. So hopefully you can see in there, probably not, it probably just looks like dark Oreos. But you have Oreo cookies mixed with cream cheese, which already is delicious. So now you're going to take a scoop of Oreo. It can be however big you want. It's however big your eyeballs are going to be. Okay? And then I just use my hands. It gets a little bit messy. Okay? So then I roll it into a ball, put it on my silicone mat here. And these can be different sizes if you want different size eyeballs. It doesn't really matter. You can make however many you want, of course. Okay, so so we're going to roll each one in to a circle. Oh, mine are getting bigger. My eyeballs are getting bigger. Go back down in size maybe a little bit. So I love doing these for other holidays as well. I mentioned you could do different flavors and etc. But really what makes it Halloween is the decoration. So if you wanted to do this for Christmas, you could easily do the exact same recipe, but instead of making them look like eyeballs, you could just cover them with green. I mean, we're using green candy melts today. You could do green and red candy melts and then just put some really fun Christmas sprinkles on them and you'd be good to go. I mean, same with Thanksgiving. You could do orange ones and maybe try and decorate them like little pumpkins. That would be pretty cute. Okay, so we have all, this one's gonna be really tiny, but that's okay. That is okay. Okay, so we have all of our eyeballs made. Now again, these go in the freezer. Okay, these need to go in the freezer for about 15 minutes or more. So my freezer, for stuff like this, I have a big freezer in my garage. So I'm just gonna put these to the side right now and put them in the freezer after the video. Okay, now we are going to melt some chocolate because we are going to coat the one cake ball I pre-made is in my freezer right here, right next to me. We are going to coat that cake ball in white chocolate so I can show you the decorations. So I'm actually using candy melts today. You can use white chocolate if you want. I mean, just like, not candy melts, like white chocolate chips, you know, Nestle or Ghirardelli or whoever. But one reason I'm using candy melts is because, I'm not going to melt that much, is because these are going to harden a lot faster and make the decoration easier. Alright, so that's kind of the reason to use candy melts. They all are vanilla flavored, but they come in a bunch of different colors. Okay, so I just put the chocolate in the microwave for 30 seconds. And I'm just letting it melt, and then I'm going to stir it, and then I'll melt it again if it needs to be melted again. I always melt in 30-second increments until it is completely melted. And I always stir in between so that the chocolate doesn't burn. Alright, so that's what we're doing right now. And then I'm going to open up my green candy melt, so we're ready to go. I'm only going to open up a little corner because I, at this moment, am only going to need one. Right, one green candy melt. When the rest of the cake balls come out of the freezer, I'll obviously need more than one. Okay, I'm going to stir this up with a little spatula so it doesn't look like anything has melted yet. But usually on the bottom, some melting has started, and you don't really notice until you stir. If you don't stir, you will end up burning your chocolate. So even if it doesn't look like it needs to be stirred, go ahead and stir it. And I'm going to put it back in for another 30 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to grab our cake ball out of the freezer so that we're ready to go. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how I'm going to dip it. Okay, so like I said, I have one lonely little cake ball right here. That's the one we're going to decorate. When we are ready with the chocolate, we are going to take, you can do this with a fork or a spoon, whatever is best for you. And we are going to dip this cake ball in white chocolate till it's completely coated. And then we are going to put our green candy melt on the cake ball as the iris of the eye. Okay, so I'm going to stir again. Okay, these are not quite melted, so we are going to have to do it one more time. Sorry about that. We'll have to wait just another second while we make sure our candy or our chocolate is melted. Okay, so you can see, hopefully you can see, I still have some lumps in there. Okay, so like I was saying, we're going to dip it in white chocolate. We're going to use the green candy melt as the iris of the eye, so that's the color of the eye. And then we are going to have to let them harden, right? So I'm not going to be able to show you the next step, but all you do is you take a black edible marker, which I mean you can just get them at Walmart, that's where I got them, and you just color in on the green part a pupil in black, and then there's also a red edible marker. So if you want, you can add in like veins on the eyes. And then you can serve these either on forks or just by themselves. The picture on the recipe will show you the fork idea. And they're just plastic disposable forks, not real forks. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now our chocolate is totally melted. It's looking great. Okay, so here, hopefully you can see melted chocolate. So we are gonna I'm gonna get a different spoon. Okay, so I'm gonna use a spoon for this. You could use a fork, it's totally personal preference. And I'm gonna dip my cake ball, and I use the spoon to cover my cake ball in chocolate because I didn't melt that much, right? Because I'm only doing one right now. So it's not deep enough for me to actually sink the entire eyeball into my chocolate. Okay, so it comes out. Now normally you would be putting this on your silicone mat or your parchment paper. I'm just gonna be putting it on this cutting board that I used. Then taking my green candy melt and I put it in the center, and that's the iris. Okay, now when it hardens, right, I'm gonna use, oh, it's moving. When it hardens, I'm gonna use a black edible marker and draw a circle in the center of that to be the pupil, and then I can add in any red veins for my eyeballs that I want on the white part. And again, the picture that I'll post with the recipe in the comments as well as in this group will show you what that looks like. All right, so I hope you had fun. I hope you love cake balls, and enjoy.